Hi, my name is Dr. Rebekah Dyer, and I am a professor in the College of Education at Grand Canyon University. And I'd like to share with you some things about what special education services will look like during the school closures because of COVID-19. Obviously, this is uncharted territory for schools and teachers and districts. So we are taking the information from the government and trying to look at that and see what that really means for you guys that now have your children at home. And those are all kiddos with disabilities that need the support services. So one thing to keep in mind, every district and every school will be addressing this differently. So you want to be reviewing all of the updated information that your school sends out, be in communication with your school's teachers, special education directors. Just make sure you're being proactive in finding the information and reaching out to them while being patient while they interpret the information and come up with the best plan possible to support your child. You also want to make sure you have the most current copy of your child's IEP or 504 plan. Make sure you review it, go through that and see, okay, what things are going to look differently at home and how may they need to be adjusted. There may be some things that could be duplicated at home. There are some things that they may not be able to provide until schools are open again. So you want to go through the IEP and 504 plan and review all of that information. Schools will be required to provide compensatory services while there may be services that they can't provide while the schools are closed, and we'll review some of those specific details in a little bit. Schools will have some short-term plans and some more long-term plans. Obviously, it was kind of sudden to have the schools closed, so they were able to implement some short-term plans. And now that, especially in Arizona, schools have been closed for the remainder of the school year, now they're determining what's the long-term plan going to be as we finish out this school year at home without our regular services. So again, be patient and stay up to date on what those short-term and long-term plans will be for your specific school. As you are reaching out to teachers and schools, special ed directors, therapists, whoever you need to be in contact with, I do encourage you to document all of that communication. You want to make sure you remember when you talk to whom and what was discussed. That will help you stay organized and help them in remembering how they've decided to provide services for each child. So just be consistent in how you document that communication. So the information that I'm going to go over is the information that came from the federal government on March 21st on how we're going to look at serving children with disabilities while schools are closed for COVID-19. So we know that through the special education law, students are guaranteed FAPE. This particular part of idea may have to look different now that schools are closed. Special education and related services can be possibly provided through distance learning. So there may be opportunities for services to be provided virtually and or online, and there may be some services that can be provided over the phone. So keep in mind that there will be these different options that schools and teachers will be exploring. There's additional accommodations that you'll need to consider that may be provided to your child to support the services they would be receiving if they had been in person. So one may be extensions of time on assignments. So they may have more time to work through the assignments that they're being asked to do while they're at home. Teachers can provide videos with closed captioning if needed and or sign language embedded to provide instruction to students. Students will be provided with accessible reading materials if they need something in addition to what they have at home. And there may be options possibly for speech or language services through video conferencing. So the federal law does require that distance instruction be accessible to students with disabilities. It does not mandate how they're going to do it because we know all states, districts, and schools have different resources. So for example, if a teacher who has a blind student in her class is working from home and cannot distribute a document that would be accessible to that student, she can distribute to the rest of the class. And inaccessible document, and if appropriate for the student, she could read the document over the phone or video herself reading that document so the student could listen to it as well. So that way, all of the students are getting the same information, but in the way that they need specifically for themselves. The Department of Education encourages parents, educators, and administrators to make sure they're collaborating and being creative, because we want to continue to meet the needs of students with disabilities, but schools were not prepared for this particular situation. So this wasn't written into the law. What do you do if all the schools close because of COVID-19? So everyone's having to be creative and really work together. So some schools are doing the distance instruction. Like I said, there could be possibility for teletherapy, which would be great. Some of the IEP meetings and maybe MET or 504 plan meetings may be held on digital platforms. The teachers may be using online options for tracking data, as they hopefully can continue to track data on IEP goals. And then they would document that data in an online platform as well. In addition, there are low-tech strategies that can provide for an exchange of curriculum-based resources, instructional packets, projects, and written assignments. This is a good breakdown to see why or why not a school may have to continue to provide the services that you're used to your child receiving at school. And if you notice over here, it says that if the school does close, they will not be providing services in the same way that they are provided at school, that they will have to take advantage of alternative opportunities to provide those services. And that includes related services as well. Here it says if a public school for children with disabilities is closed because children are at high risk, they are allowed to provide those instructional activities, virtual instruction, instructional phone calls, using online platforms. If a child does not receive services during a closure, a child's IEP team must make an individualized determination whether and to what extent compensatory services may be needed. So again, keep that in mind. And that's why I think it's really important to continue to document everything that's being provided for your child, because when schools do open back up, there will have to be conversations about what those compensatory services look like if they are needed. There is something called a contingency plan that can be built around a child's IEP. It's typically not something we write into an IEP, but it can be something if you feel like you want to take a look at the IEP and see if you need to consider a contingency plan. Talk to your special education teachers about that, and that will just outline what's going to happen while schools are out and not open in session, and then what will that transition look like as schools do open. So just keep in mind, this is new territory for everyone. It's been really impressive to see schools and districts and teachers step it up. They have provided so many resources. So be in communication and continue to work together with everyone that was supporting your child when the school is open, because they are still there to support your child while they're at home. And make sure you continue to take a look at the updates on the Department of Education website as they continue to make decisions about how services can be provided. Thank you.